ministries that are in our departments or agencies, development partners, staff of Mobile Digital Experience Limited. I would like to welcome you all here and thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedules. We really feel honored that all of you have come to this meeting to contribute and participate in it. Having said that, I have a few points that I want to mention, and I know there are quite a number of people who are knowledgeable in some of the fields that will be discussed. But I will just have to also mention a few things. First of all, of course, all of you know the subject of this meeting. It is a consultative meeting, an experts consultative meeting on how to conduct voter education using Communication for Behavioural Impact methodology. This will be the first time it is done with regard to elections, I'm sure. And it is focused, although it's a general thing, it is focused on empowering women through women and youth and the persons living with disabilities through the election process. And not just as voters. Of course, we want them to vote, all of them. But we want more of them to participate as candidates. That is the core of this now campaign that we want to do. The campaign is called Patriotism Beyond Differences. Having women and youth and the disabled and other marginalized communities participate in elections as candidates, especially from marginalized areas, would require behavior and attitude change. And that's why we are talking about COMBI, Communication for Behavioural Impact methodology, which is said to be best for behavior change and attitude change, especially for would-be voters. Teaching the national values and principles of governance, it's also very good for that. It will be very good for that. Okay. Kimani has already said that we are a business organization. We are not an NGO, development organization, or a government department or agency. And so the question comes, why would you want to be doing this thing? This looks like it's the ambit of organizations like development organizations, NGOs, and government departments. I will have to tell you that this is a business again. It's a for-profit organization. But it is different. It is different because it does things, it does its business differently. It does its business, as it does business, it gives back to society simultaneously. In fact, in some cases, as I will show, in advance. And doing this thing, we're saying Patriotism Beyond Differences campaign in all the 47 counties within 12 to 18 months. That's a big thing. So how are we why are we thinking of doing that? I have a friend of mine who calls the activities that we engage in as jackpotism. He has a new name for, jackpots. When you participate in some kind of game of chance, you win something big sometimes. But that's not an everyday occurrence. It happens occasionally. So, sarcastically, he refers to the activities that we undertake as jackpotism. Expecting to do something big when you are not. It's not like everyday thing. But I say, it's a belief. You don't have to be big to think big or to aim high. And I have a confession to make here. Confession is, it's not jackbotism. By the way, there's some new word also that is coined, it's called affluenza. Some people might have heard about that. People who are grown in plenty, been raised in plenty, they've been, from childhood, they've been given anything they wanted, so they think the world is the same. They have no responsibilities, they don't know how to deal with people. There is a case like that in America. I think some of you might have been following it. So there are names that come up. My friend calls this kind of activity jackpotism. But I have to say, as I said, I have a confession to make. I suffer from an infection. It's a hard thing to say in front of people. It's actually a virus. That virus, it's called outside the boxness. Thinking outside the box. It's a virus. And I say it's a virus because it's dangerous. Let me try a little bit of drama. I'm not very good at it, but I'll try. Right? Its symptoms. The symptoms are bigness of ideas, even some level of madness. Okay? Accompanied by active, noisy bowels, even diarrhea. With a burning desire to seek the common truth with this disease. How do I do that? In a moment, I'll ask my colleagues to close all the doors and the windows. And because I know they are infected with it, mix with people. Without your permission, of course. Stains or anything like that, so that we can go after those people who didn't catch this disease today. We can go after you to make sure that you've got it. It's crazy. It's a crazy thing. And I'll tell you why I say it's crazy. Because after the elections, and now, as I mentioned and narrate this small story, after the elections in 2013, there were people who were bitter. Of course, when you go into elections, there are winners and losers. There are people who win, people who lose. But there are people who also have a problem accepting the results. And I don't mean any particular thing or people or person. So some people were bitter, some people were, So we said, we're going to go out, we're going to launch. We carried a number of, we produced and delivered a number of documentaries with regard to peace building, national cohesion and unity, celebration of cultural diversities, understanding devolution, equality and equal opportunity, education with emphasis on the girl child, and healthy living and nutrition. So we went with that. We have a big screen. It's called Fast Mobile. Some of you might have seen it outside. It's a very big screen, self-contained, powered by a generator. So it's powered everywhere. It's internet enabled. So there's a room inside there with IT, and we have the software. We own the software that manages that. You can manage it remotely from the office. It can be anywhere in the country, so long as it has access to the internet. So we use that one to deliver those messages throughout those countries. It was 6 months nearly, and nearly 10 million shillings at the end. Self-initiated, self-funded. It was like we closed the business doing that only. Then you call that a crazy thing, isn't it? That is the disease I'm talking about now. That is the disease that I want everybody here to catch. Okay. I know once all of us here think that way, and I'm sure some of you have been thinking like that, because I can note from the organizations you've come that you must be having that kind of passion in order to be in some of those organizations you've mentioned. Now, let me tell you, there are many Kenyans in that country, let me say most, who suffer from another virus, another disease. And that's called, it's the opposite of this one, it's inside the boxness. They dwell inside the box. But they thought out of the box. They said, although they have their personal things, I will be a soldier defending this country. And I will go anywhere. And they lost their lives. They haven't thought about, the comforts of their home or the other things, options they have. There are these Mandera people who, when confronted by people with no respect for human life, said no in front of them, even to the extent of giving their lives. One of them has died last week, this week. That person thought out of the box. Inside the box would have been to say, I'm going to get killed. Why do I have to stand in front of these guys? Let them do what they want. Let me save my life. They didn't do that. So they thought out of the box. Out of the box is doing things not the normal, always easy way that we are boxed into. Thinking differently, making change happen. It is the common ground, seeking the common ground. The common ground and the outside the box values is when you think of the common ground. All of us here are human beings. We might be from different clan or different tribe or different region or different language or different religion. But if you look at us all, you see we're all human. We have all the same needs. We need food on the table. We need education for our kids and ourselves. We need prosperity. We need security. That's common. But when we are going to the elections, what do? We don't look at those things. We look at the personality. We look at the clan. We look at these things. This is the thing we need to change using this methodology, and we have experts who will speak about that. And also, as we elect, we make sure that we elect leaders that are proper leaders, basing ourselves as we elect on the national values and principles of governance. And I'm here on the leadership aspect of it. And I'm sure some our colleagues are going to speak about that. Now, we have done that crazy thing, that 6-month thing, self-initiated, self-funded. Now what are we doing? We're saying we're going to do another campaign called Patriotism Beyond Differences. You see the difference between the previous and this one? Beyond ethnicity and beyond differences. Now, beyond ethnicity was about ethnicity. Now the difference is all those differences. It can be religion, it can be culture, it can be gender, it can be youth, and these things. And I forgot to mention about people thinking out of the box. Some Kenyans are already thinking out of the box. A recent study has confirmed that in Kenya, 80% of us are under 35. You see, 80%. And 62%, almost 62% of us, of the youth, are susceptible to bribery during elections, to being used during elections. And I want to mention the young man in Kericho who died, all those old people, and say, we are 80% of the population, and we need to come out and be counted and stand, and he won. That guy thought out of the box. He didn't just go the way, because youth are supposed to be what? They're young, so they can be used. They are not yet there. They are not experienced and all that. And then when it comes to women again, I know of some people, some clients, who say if we elect a woman to Parliament or any other elected office, we will be at a disadvantage because Clan X, Tribe X, will have a man, and we will be at a disadvantage. That is now thinking inside the box. That's not the case. You see the doctors here we have, the ladies who are from different professions. See the world, how many, that is us Kenyans thinking in the box, saying that a woman cannot do, we will be at a disadvantage if we elect a woman. So this campaign, as I said, is going to happen, and we are here seeking consultations and partnerships. We need experts to come on board, experts on COMBI methodology, because COMBI, as we will hear, is a method that is used especially in health to change the attitudes of and behaviors of populations in order to combat those diseases. And what is a worse disease than the inside the box disease that I mentioned? That is the people suffer from. That is, so we are applying this methodology, COMBI methodology, to do this. So what are we going to do? This time, of course, it is self-initiated, still we are initiating it, but it's not going to be self-funded. We've done our part, so we want others to do their part. They want to come on board. This is this month, next month, and March after that, 3 months. Then after that, depending on how we go, we want to, the next phase is a baseline study. We've said that the Kenyans have these problems, but we want to go out with experts in different areas, to go out and collect data from Kenyans as to the 4 issues that we have mentioned, the 4 objectives. The first objective, which I'm going to mention now, is educating Kenyans on why and how they should vote for oneself, for family, for food on the table, for community and country. As they vote, those are the things that they should keep in mind. And the empowerment of women, the youth, and the PLDs through the election, the promotion of peace, unity, national cohesiveness in the period leading up to, during, and after the general election, and the national values and principles. So what we want to collect the data for that as to how to create or design messages relevant to each county that can be now delivered later throughout the counties to ensure that those 4 points are realized, objectives. So that is the baseline study phase, which will inform the implementation phase, and then comes phase 3. Phase 2, which is baseline, is April-June 2016. This is tentative, all of it. Phase 3 is July 2016 to June 2017, which is the delivery phase now. This message, designed as a result of the case baseline study, are delivered then. And phase 4 is September to December 2017, after the elections, and it is an assessment and impact assessment and reporting. So as I said, what we need is experts to help us do this, and we need development agencies, more so the private sector, like KEPSA. I know KEPSA people are here. Thank you for coming, and everybody for coming. They represent the majority of business in the private sector. We need them to come on board and participate. And what we are going to do, what we're going to do for anybody who participates in these things, there are 3 categories here. Experts will obviously participate in this, contribute to it. Obviously, at the end of this, very nice CVs, and obviously, of course, during the work, benefits that come, monetary and otherwise. But we also target, as I said, the private sector mainly. The private sector, what are we going to do in order for them to participate? Now, we will have 10 RAS mobiles. I described RAS mobile before, that vehicle you've seen outside. 10 of them. We will deploy them at 10 counties simultaneously. That's after the baseline study has been done. The messages have been crafted that are relevant. 10 RAS mobiles simultaneously at 10 counties. So that each RAS mobile or vehicle system will be in each county. It will be two months. That means within 10 months to 12 months, the whole country can be covered. In addition, we will have nearly 2,000 pump top screens, pump gas stations, where these messages will be running. So we're targeting now motorists who will be fueling their cars, going to those places. They'll see these messages. We will also have a dedicated social media synchronized website for the campaign itself, and a dedicated 60-minute daily TV show for the campaign. So if you come on board as a corporate or as a development organization, in addition to supporting or associating your brand with this campaign, you will be able to use those screens throughout the country to deliver your messages. That is, if you come on board as a sponsor. And there are sponsorship categories. There is a title sponsorship, there is platinum sponsorship, there is gold sponsorship, there is silver sponsorship, and bronze, the normal standard and norms. If you get that, if you come on board, you buy a sponsorship, you get 3 things free. So it's called a BOG 3F. Instead of BOGOF, that some people from the business community will understand. You get to advertise or use those screens to run your whatever messages that are of course not contradictory. You are featured in the TV show. You are featured on the dedicated campaign website. So you got all those things. If you are an MDAS, that's ministries, departments, agencies, similarly, and commissions, you will be able to associate to run your message in exchange for collaboration. There's nothing else that is required. Collaboration. It is under the public-private partnership, or I call it public-private collaboration. So I call it PPC. I don't know whether such a term exists, but that's what I say. So I think it will be everybody's interest to come on board, to have that disease that we already have, and to try in our small ways to make the coming election meaningful, peaceful, and productive, and yielding those 4 results, those 4 objectives that I mentioned. Thank you so much. I've taken too much of your time. I'm very sorry about this. Thank you very much.
Thank you.